Welcome to the GEMS Report, brought to you by Clarion Events, Fire and Rescue Group, and the Journal of Emergency Medical Services. My name is Ted Lee, and I'm the editor-in-chief of GEMS Magazine. Along with Jeff Frankel, our managing editor, we will be bringing you subject matter experts and leaders in the field of pre-hospital medicine. And today is a very special episode because we will be talking about Save a Life Day as part of the EMS week this year for 2025, and that's Thursday, the 22nd. So with us, we have Dr. Matt Levy, representing the American College of Emergency Physicians, and Corey Richter, representing the National Association of EMTs. So Dr. Levy, why don't we start with you? Give us a little bit of your background, and then we'll kick it over to Corey.
Sure thing. Well, hey, Ted. Hey, Corey. Good to see you both. Thanks for having me on. This is really, it's a great day when we talk about Save the Life Day and the opportunity really as EMS leaders to talk about how we can impact our communities, not just reactively or from a response perspective, but also proactively, which we'll come back to. A little bit about me and my background. This is my 31st year in EMS. I started off as an EMT, then became a paramedic, and absolutely continue to be blessed and love to do what I do. I'm now a board certified EMS and emergency medicine physician. I work clinically at Johns Hopkins, and I'm the EMS medical director for the Howard County Department of Fire and Rescue Services, where I'm also the chief medical officer and support a number of EMS systems in the greater Baltimore and Maryland area, and get to collaborate with some awesome people like you guys. I have a number of other roles. Just all of my effort and really all of my focus is on time critical emergencies, building better systems of care, and improving outcomes for patients.
Great. Thank you. Corey?
Yes, sir. I'm Corey Richter. I've been in EMS since 1983, so just a couple of years. Started off in Massachusetts at a private ambulance, did 911 calls in the inner facility, and then moved down to Florida and worked for a third service EMS system, and then we merged with Fire Rescue and ended up my career with Indian River County Fire Rescue in Indian River County, Florida, and got up to deputy chief. So I went from getting paramedic to all the way up the ranks. There, everything short of chief, but. Also been involved with NEMT for a number of years, was on the board for 6 years, and I'm the Region 2 education coordinator for like 13 states for all their education programs and training centers and stuff. And so I've been involved with NEMT for a long time, teaching their classes and everything. And so I'm glad to be here and help with EMS Week, which is near and dear to my heart, because they finally gave us a week, and it's been getting better and better. We've been promoting it more and more every year, and more people actually realize that it is EMS week now. So it's the more stuff we can get out there, the better to help people.
Well, it is exciting that, we do have the whole week, as you mentioned. And while, most of us believe, EMS is a 24/7, 365 day a year type event, having the ability to focus and help the communities focus back on EMS is kind of important. And, this day, Thursday, being Save a Life Day, is of, kind of an added bonus or an added focus as well. So Dr. Levy, why don't you kick it off with, what does Save a Life Day mean, to ASTEP and to you, and kind of why is this one of the things that was picked for, we should pay attention to this?
Well, first, Ted, I would echo what my colleague just said a moment ago, and the fact that we have a week to recognize the amazing, heroic, and often unsung work that our frontline clinicians and practitioners do every day, day in and day out, impacting lives is really important. Every day should be EMS Day, and every day should be really Save a Life Day. At its core, Save a Life Day is really about enabling and empowering people within their communities to help one another, not just during that really bad day, but help one another in any way, right? So it's about helping cultivate, develop, and implement programs to recognize and treat emergencies, be those sudden cardiac arrest, be it choking, be it opioid overdose, life-threatening bleeding, which, as you guys know, is an area of my passion and interest, and Stop the Bleed, as well as recognition of other time-critical emergencies like stroke. So the genesis behind Save a Life Day is really exactly that. It's how do we, as the professional rescuers and professional responders, be them paid, volunteer, part-time, full-time, doesn't matter. How do we as the heroes in our community help raise awareness about just how important community engagement and community involvement is in recognizing these emergencies and taking action?
So Corey, same question to you. I mean, you've been around the block for a while. You know, you say that you've had quite a storied career. What does EMS Week mean to you, and specifically Save a Life Day? You know, why the focus on that?
Yeah, the Save a Life Day is I mean, each day is important, and each theme for each day is just as important as the other. This Save a Life Day just wants to emphasize more how do we get the public to help us, because obviously, as American Heart has proven over the years, early intervention has saved lives. With a lot of the active shooter events that we've had and big disasters, bystander stopping the bleed and stuff has made a huge difference in the outcome in patients. And so, how do we get the public involved more by, hopefully agencies will reach out, do Stop the Bleed programs in their community. I know our agency, we did it in all the schools, all the teachers and stuff. We used to go on their Wednesday teach day, and we would teach the whole each school, and we would go to each school and do them when they had those, and to try to get them involved. And we offer it to the general public to be able to do some Stop the Bleed days and stuff. Offer AHA classes, anything to get people involved, because those few minutes that they're there prior to EMS or fire or both getting there can make a huge difference in the outcome of a patient. And that's, I believe, what mostly that May 22nd is all about, is trying to get the public involved, trying to get them trained. And it's very little training that they need, very basic training, but they could help save a life someday, and that could make all the difference in the world. And if we can save one, with getting people, it's worth it.
Yeah. Well, anytime that we can get the communities involved and get individuals, because we've talked about bystander CPR, we've talked about taking instructions over the phone from the telecommunicators when they're giving 911 instructions. So yeah, I mean, these are always great things, and it always seems like whenever it's your emergency, it took forever for 911 to get there, when it actually was only a couple of minutes. But still, those couple of minutes, great things can happen in those couple of minutes. Dr. Levy, you were getting ready to say something?
Yeah, it dawned on me that there's something a little more unique and a little more special about this year's Save a Life Day, which is with the growing interest and proliferation of pre-hospital blood programs. Save a Life Day this year also has an additional added message about engaging the community in blood donation and blood drives. And I've had the distinct privilege in my career of being part of several EMS systems that have brought blood programs online. And I often will get the question of, what do we do first? Well, the first thing we need to do is figure out ways to engage with and support our blood banks and our blood communities. So Save a Life Day isn't just about teaching classes, which is incredibly important. And as a career and lifelong educator, something I gravitate towards. I think Corey's shaking his head as well. But as an operational EMS medical director, or Corey, your role as an operations chief and deputy chief, as we look towards building better life-saving systems of care and building these collaborative relationships across the acute care health system, one of the opportunities is really to engage with and support the blood donation efforts that are underway. And it's another really important element that's special to this year's Save a Life Day.
So other than the blood donations, and of course, yes, this is a driving issue, and we've seen advertisements for that quite a bit already, trying to get the word out. You mentioned Stop the Bleed. What other common things are presented to the communities where they can interact or they can help during these, emergencies that are simple, that are work? I know in my time with an educational institution, we used to go out and we used to teach 5 different things to local high schools and middle schools along these lines. So it was this type of program. But I'd like to hear from both of you. Corey, we'll start with you. So what has been your experience that, easy things that agencies can go out and really interact with their community early on?
I think early, some of the things are, hey, don't be afraid to call 911 if they need to. And that 911 can be a source of information. It's not the old days where 911 was somebody totally non-medical that had no information whatsoever and would just tell you somebody's on the way. Now they have scripted cards. They know what to do. They know how they can give you pre-arrival instructions based on what the medical event happens to be, and help you assist with that patient until medical personnel can get on scene. And that's huge now, and across America, where almost every dispatch, I believe, has that now, and can give those pre-arrival instructions, just get them at ease for that. Then of course, just tell them to get involved. You can do compressions only. A lot of people, the stigma with CPR is, I don't want to do mouth to mouth. They don't carry a pocket mask. The average person, even most EMS people on the truck, yeah, we have all that equipment. But in their personal lives, how many of them carry a pocket mask or something? I would venture to guess very few. But if they can at least do CPR, compressions only for the first 6 to 10 minutes until help gets there, it's still better than nothing. And statistics are, there's been studies out there that prove that doing that. So trying to ease people's mind to to help and also let them know about the Good Samaritan laws, that they're covered as long as they're not trying to do surgery, not trying to do a chest tube or something that they're not trained to do. That they're they can help people and still stay safe in this day and age, and still make a big difference in that patient, just by simply doing either CPR only, and calling 911, and of course Stop the Bleed. If they can just even slow down the bleeding, they can make a difference. Obviously, if they have a tourniquet, but what are the odds of that? But most police departments, even if they're not EMTs, they carry tourniquets now, and they get there usually quicker because they're on the street and usually can get to the scene. So, they can apply a tourniquet right away. If somebody's already held pressure, that slows down the bleeding and makes a difference.
So, Dr. Levy, in your experience, any other programs that seem to align with the Save a Life Day community outreach, community experience?
Yeah. So to recap, so far we've talked a little bit about Stop the Bleed, and as a reminder to those listening or tuning into the episode today, there are a number of programs already available that you can incorporate that for no cost or little cost, if any, into your community. There's several that are free and turnkey. We've talked about compressions only CPR, which absolutely is correct and is absolutely part of this. We briefly mentioned opioid overdose and naloxone training. These are courses and trainings that are available. We talked about the importance of getting involved with and even hosting community blood drives. It's a wonderful thing to do on Save a Life Day. Even better if you can incorporate those two things in, so people can get free opioid overdose training and stop the bleed training while they're waiting to donate blood. Now you've really made this very impactful for people. There are other things too. There's stroke recognition. There are programs to help people recognize the subtle but important symptoms of stroke, for example. There are other programs that focus more organically on local communities as well. So let's say you are in a water or coastal community, waterborne safety, and those types of activities are also available. So really, I think what I want people to know is that there's really a no wrong door approach. We want you to do something. We'd love for you to do everything. We'd love for you to help build a program in your community where there's a revolving topic or a monthly and ongoing prevention topic. But Save a Life Day is really at its core about the EMS system and how it interfaces with its community before the emergency happens. And how do we do that better and continue to build and capitalize on that trust that the community has in us?
Yeah, that's always been one of the things, the interaction with the community. You'd never want your first interaction with a group to be the emergency or the disaster. You'd like to have had these conversations before, or at least know the key players, so that you're not scrambling around going, okay, wait a minute, what are we doing? It's a whole lot better. Wait a minute, we've done this before, or we've had this interaction before. This is what we need to do. And yeah, sure. Every best laid plan, when the disaster hits, is always chaotic. But at least having that face to face in a more controlled setting seems to be much better in the long run for everybody, for sure.
Agreed.
So Corey, going back to your time, how much are the providers gaining from this type of experience, and how much are the communities kind of reciprocating from that kind of interaction?
I know from my experience when I used to do a lot of the outreach to HOAs and other clubs, community clubs, would invite us to come over and either do a presentation, and we would usually cover these basic things: the dialing 911, the CPR, compressions only, stop the bleed, and stuff. And some of them we would actually do CPR classes for if they wanted that, and work in some first aid with it, since they're all non-medical and stuff. But people, let them know that they can reach out to their local EMS or fire agency, and more than likely, they would love to come out and talk to you. I know our agency, we always went out to anybody called. We'd come out and we'd talk to them, and we love that interaction with the public. And I never walked out of one where people didn't say thank you for coming in and letting us know, and hopefully they learned something and passed it on down the road at some point, whether it be their neighbor or someone else they saw, and were able to help them and feel a little more confident that they could help them.
So, Dr. Levy, we've got a few more minutes before we start wrapping up. So, what have you seen, during your time and the interaction with communities? And I mean, you made a great point, kind of subtly in there, that, having these interactions, ideally, yes, we'd like them to be, a monthly thing or an ongoing thing, but it's really driving that reconnection to the community. We've talked once about this. They're more likely to talk about other topics that come up when emergencies come up, or maybe you're needing, more community support. Having already broached the introduction phase seems to make these type of things a little bit easier. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I would totally agree that it's always ideal and desired to build off an existing relationship, preferably a strong one, than it is to start without any relationship. What I would say is, there are systems out there that have robust and expansive community engagement programs and public information offices and outreach organizations, the outreach interfaces. But not every system does, nor every system will have that, depending upon the size and nature of the given EMS operation. But that doesn't mean that you can't do anything. You can start as small as you want and grow this as big. This is modular, it's bite size, and there's something for everybody here. So whether you're part of a large urban or suburban metropolitan system that has maybe dedicated people doing this work, or you're part of a small operation or smaller operation that doesn't, there still is opportunity. But Ted, to your point, I think what we really want to do is focus on connecting with the community and making sure that the community knows that they have an important role and an important opportunity to help save not just their lives, but the lives of the people they love and the people nearby. We often tell people that, when you do or participate in a community-wide training such as this, there's a very good chance you're going to need to practice or perform this skill on someone you know or love and perhaps work with and see every day. That's the reality. So all of a sudden, the motivation to do this becomes really, really more strong. And in fact, when we teach these courses, we usually find one of three things: that someone is there because their boss told them they had to be there, right, to check a box, okay, which that does happen. Okay, we know and appreciate that, or because they have a loved one or someone they care deeply about who they're worried about, or because something has happened to someone they know and maybe the outcome could have been different. Now, those are three very discrete and very different reasons people show up to these types of events, but all of them are important. And within all of them, there's opportunity to capitalize on that energy to help convey the message. I think the biggest thing is when we talk about Save the Life Day, we can't talk about it in abstract. We have to talk about concrete, and we've been very concrete about examples of programming and things, from blood drives to stop the bleed to naloxone training to community hands-only CPR. But what's important is if you want to get that message across, you have to kind of integrate it into a story and tell that story. So one of the most impactful things to your question, Ted, that I've seen is when a survivor comes to one of these events. And boy, does it stops you in your tracks, and it's a vivid reminder of why we do what we do. When you have a survivor who shows up and says, "I'm here because my wife or my husband or my spouse or someone had to do CPR on me," all of a sudden, the most curmudgeon person who doesn't want to be there is all of a sudden at least invested in listening to what has to be said, because it makes it real. So that's one thing: survivor stories and engaging with survivors. But beyond that, I think it's really about reminding the community that we can't do our jobs without them. Even in the most well-optimized, well-resourced systems, response times are issues, distances are issues, all these things. And the role of the community to help, to bend, not break, if you will, to foster resilience is so important. We think about different types of portions and locations in the country, some more prone to certain weather events, some more prone to other types of situations. But this is a common theme throughout everywhere, which is if you can empower your community to get more involved, not only will your relationships be better, your medics and your EMTs will have better job satisfaction, and the interactions will go more smoothly. And when things arise and things come up, you tend to have better cohesiveness across the agency and across the community. So it really is an important day. It's not just one to gloss over for people.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Well, Corey, like I said, we're wrapping up, so I'll put the ball in your court for the very last one. Why don't you wrap us up and any parting shots for EMS Week Save a Life Day?
Well, I know one of the important things we used to do, I used to always try to find when we had a situation where somebody did make a difference in somebody's life, we always tried to get them in front of the county commission so they got in front of the public and got the word out. That was always a huge advocate for getting people involved, but also showing the results, because we'd bring the saver and the survivor, together, and those were always huge events. And we just, I think they made a big difference in getting people involved too in the community, because we get some more calls after episodes like that with the county commission and stuff. So, praising the people who do help, because we do need their help. Like my colleague said there, we do need their help. Without them, we can only do so much, and they can make a huge, huge difference in somebody's life just with a few simple tasks prior to our arrival, in those few minutes prior to our arrival, and which, like you said in the beginning, seems like hours. When you call in those 3 minutes or 5 minutes or 6 minutes, it seems like a long, long time, because that clock is just ticking really slow. But anything they can do ahead of time can make a difference and save a life, and make a difference. I've seen some of them become lifelong friends afterwards. These total strangers meet at a medical scene and end up being great friends for life afterwards, and it's incredible.
Yeah, sure is. Well, I want to thank you both again for spending time with me today, and everybody that's listening. Happy EMS Week, and this is Save a Life Day. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.